Scorpio, this message is not random, and it's not late. On Christmas Day, something shifts for you in a way you've been quietly praying for. You've waited longer than most, endured silence, confusion, and moments where even your faith felt tested. But what you didn't see was God working behind the scenes, aligning events, people, and timing in your favor. This is not about luck, and it's not about coincidence. A blessing you once thought might never arrive is finally moving toward you. Stay with me, Scorpio, because missing this message could mean missing the moment everything begins to change. Scorpio, you are known for your strength. But strength doesn't mean life has been easy for you. Over the past months, you've carried emotions you couldn't explain, battles you couldn't share, and questions that seemed to have no clear answers. You stayed quiet, you stayed patient, and you kept moving forward, even when progress felt invisible. This message is for the Scorpio who didn't give up, even when hope felt thin. Christmas is a time of renewal and divine timing. And for you, it marks more than a holiday. It marks a turning point where understanding replaces confusion and peace begins to return. Why this Christmas is different for Scorpio. Scorpio, not every Christmas carries the same energy, and this one is different for a reason. This year isn't about celebration on the outside. It's about alignment on the inside. You've been through a cycle that demanded patience, sacrifice, and emotional strength. Delays weren't punishments. They were preparation. While others moved ahead quickly, you were being shaped quietly. And now, timing is finally catching up to your endurance. What makes this Christmas unique is that something long unresolved reaches its natural conclusion. Questions you've carried in silence begin to make sense. The weight you've been holding doesn't disappear overnight, but it lightens enough for you to breathe again. God's timing doesn't rush, and it doesn't arrive empty-handed. It arrives when you're strong enough to receive without losing yourself. For Scorpio, this season marks a shift from survival to understanding. You're no longer repeating the same lessons. Old patterns, emotional cycles, and spiritual tests start losing their grip. This isn't sudden luck. It's the result of everything you endured without quitting. Christmas Day acts like a spiritual doorway, closing one chapter while quietly opening another. You may not announce it to the world, but inside, you'll know something has finally changed. The blessing you've been waiting for. Scorpio, the blessing coming to you is not loud, dramatic, or announced in advance. And that's what makes it powerful. This is the kind of blessing that arrives quietly, but changes everything underneath the surface. It's not necessarily what you imagined during your hardest moments, but it is exactly what your soul has been asking for. What's unfolding now brings clarity where there was confusion, peace where there was tension, and stability where things felt uncertain for far too long. You've been waiting for answers, for fairness, for a sign that your patience wasn't wasted. This blessing carries restoration, not just externally, but internally. It touches your sense of self, your confidence, and your understanding of why things had to unfold the way they did. Something you thought was permanently delayed begins to move again, but without chaos or force. It happens naturally, as if it was always meant to arrive at this exact time. For some Scorpios, this blessing shows up as emotional closure, finally feeling free from a situation that drained you. For others, it brings opportunity, relief, or a shift in direction that feels unexpectedly right. What matters most is not the form it takes, but the feeling it brings. Calm instead of anxiety, trust instead of doubt. This is the kind of blessing that doesn't rush you forward. It grounds you. And once it arrives, you'll realize that the waiting wasn't punishment. It was protection. Signs you are the Scorpio. This message is for Scorpio. This message isn't for everyone, and deep down, you already feel that. One of the strongest signs this is meant for you is how quietly you've been carrying your struggles. You didn't seek attention, and you didn't ask for sympathy. You handled your battles privately, even when it became heavy. If you've been feeling emotionally tired without being able to explain why, that's a sign. Not because you're weak, but because a long chapter is finally ending. Another sign is repetition. You may have noticed the same thoughts, memories, or situations resurfacing lately, as if life was asking you to look at them one last time. This isn't to hurt you again, it's to release you. When lessons repeat, it means graduation is close. You're no longer meant to stay in the same emotional space. You may also feel detached from people or environments that once felt familiar. Not angry, just distant. That's growth. God often creates emotional distance before a breakthrough, not as loss, but as protection. And if lately you've been craving peace more than excitement, clarity more than validation, that's another sign. Your soul is preparing to receive something steady, not chaotic. If even a part of this feels personal, not dramatic, just true, then yes, Scorpio, this message is for you. And what's coming next isn't random. It's earned. What God is removing before the blessing arrives. Scorpio, before a true blessing arrives, something always has to be released. Not as punishment, but as preparation. What's being removed now isn't meant to leave you empty. It's meant to make space. God is gently separating you from emotional weight you were never meant to carry this long. Old guilt, self-blame, and unanswered questions begin to lose their power over you. Not because they suddenly disappear, but because you no longer need them to survive. You may notice certain connections fading, routines changing, or familiar patterns no longer feeling right. This isn't loss. It's alignment. What drains your peace cannot stay where your future is growing. Even habits that once helped you cope may no longer fit who you're becoming. That's not failure. That's evil. God also removes confusion before clarity arrives. If things have felt quiet or slow lately, it's because noise is being cleared. The blessing coming to you requires a steady mind and a grounded heart. Chaos can't coexist with what's meant to stay. This phase may feel uncomfortable because endings rarely announce themselves clearly. But trust this. Nothing meaningful is being taken from you. Only what was blocking your peace is being lifted away. And once it's gone, you'll understand why it had to happen first. What you must do on Christmas Day. Scorpio, Christmas Day is not about forcing anything to happen. It's about allowing what's already aligned to arrive. The most important thing you can do is slow down. Even if life around you feels busy, take moments of quiet. Stillness is where clarity enters. You don't need to ask loudly or explain yourself to God. What's meant for you already knows your name. Choose gratitude over expectation. Gratitude opens doors that pressure keeps closed. Reflect on what you survived, not what you lost. The blessing approaching you responds to acceptance, not anxiety. Let go of the urge to control outcomes or time. This day works best when you trust instead of chase. Avoid revisiting old pain or reopening conversations that already taught you their lesson. Christmas Day isn't meant for closure through confrontation. It's closure through peace. Protect your energy. Even a small moment of prayer, silence, or honest reflection is enough. You don't need perfection to receive a blessing. You only need openness. Let this day pass without resistance. What's meant to shift will do so naturally. Scorpio, you were never forgotten. You were being prepared. The delays, the silence, the unanswered questions all served a purpose you couldn't see at the time. God doesn't deny blessings. He times them. And this Christmas marks a turning point where waiting gives way to understanding. You may not feel a dramatic change instantly, but something settles within you. A calm replaces urgency. Trust replaces doubt. And slowly, life begins to respond differently. This is how real transformation starts. Quietly, steadily, without chaos. Remember, what's coming to you doesn't need to be chased, proven, or defended. It arrives because it belongs to you. Carry this certainty with you beyond Christmas Day. Let it guide your choices, your patterns, and your faith. If this message resonated with you, hold on to it. Not everything meaningful announces itself loudly. Some blessings arrive as peace, and that peace changes everything.